everybody. Welcome to day 2 of our 3rd virtual Reptile Expo. My name is Audra. I'm the owner of Lick Your Eyeballs Reptiles, and this is Sweethearts, and we are so excited to welcome you to our facility for another full day of herps. So if you joined us yesterday, you already know how this is going to work. If this is your first virtual Reptile Expo, I'm going to just quickly go over how we're going to do things today. We are going to show you all of our new available animals in the light box. Today we're going to be really looking at gargoyles. We're going to show you all of the new gargoyles that have hatched here over the past few months and have never been posted online anywhere else. And if you would like to purchase any of the animals available today, there are 2 steps for purchase. 1, you're going to type sold into the chat with the name or ID number of the animal. Step 2, you need to email the vendor to confirm. And once an animal is purchased, we ship all over the country, and we also have pickup available. We have pickup available here at our facility in Castro Valley, California, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, as well as this upcoming Saturday, May 15th, we'll be hosting a pop-up here. It's going to be an outdoor masked event from 10 to 3 p.m., and we will have all of our supplies and plants available for you to check out. And if there were animals that you saw this weekend that you want to check out in real life before purchasing, come to our pop-up event and we'll have a table. Just know which animals you wanted to meet. So I want you to take notes right now as we go through and write down your favorite animals. And at the pop-up, we can pull them out and you can meet them in real life. If you aren't local and can't make it to our pop-up, that's okay. Everything on our website is 20% off till midnight tonight, and we will ship it to you. So promo code PINEAPPLE gets you 20% off everything on our website. So let's meet my newest gargoyle gecko pairing. I'm so excited about this pair. This is Hash Brown and Lithia. And I am releasing 2 of their babies this weekend for the first time ever. I've been holding back all of their offspring because they're all incredible, but I can't keep everything. So I'm releasing 2 of them for you this weekend. They will be up in a little bit, so stay tuned. Let's head on over to our light box and meet some available geckos.
We're going to get started here with our first gargoyle gecko for today. This is an aberrant super stripe gargoyle gecko. So it's got striping that goes all the way starting from the very top, center, all the way down the sides, but they're not perfect stripes, so that's where it gets the aberrant from, right? Aberrant means they're broken stripes, so they're not full, perfect, solid stripes. Currently, this is an orange gecko. These are orange stripes, but as this gecko gets older, I do expect the color to change, as this gecko does come from red adults. So the adults that produce this gecko are red. So that is very common with gargoyle geckos for the color to change as they get older. I just wanted to pop in and give you a view from the other side of this gecko, so you can see all sides. Next up, we have this adorable little finger hugger. This gargoyle gecko also hatched from our Jupiter group, so from red striped parents. As you can see right now, it is orange. It does have some red speckling coming down in the center of the back, but the stripes themselves look pretty orange at this point. Like I said with the other gecko, I do expect this to change as this gecko gets older. My favorite thing about this gecko are the 2 little triangles at the base of the head. I think that is super cool. So this guy hatched March 4th, so it's a little bit younger than the other one that we just showed you. Next up here we have Heath, an unsexed gargoyle gecko. This gecko hatched on March 8th. 2021, also from our Jupiter group. Has that nice thick dark center stripe and then orange aberrant stripes along the sides. This gecko does fire down to have a yellow base and almost a lavender color when fired down, but right now you can see it fires up a very, very dark color. Let's see the other side of this gecko. orange speckling down the back, and you can see the lighter orange and then the darker orange in the very center, which, like for the last two geckos, this gecko will probably turn red as it grows. Alright, here we have our first Mars baby of today. Stella and Denzel are Mars pairing, and they produce some of our very nicest red stripes. So I do expect this gecko to be a stunning adult. Fired up right now, super dark colors. And like its parents, it's got two different kind of shades of red-orange going on here. Both of its parents are red. One is a deep red and one is a bright red, so you're seeing the two different shades on this gecko pretty well here. This gecko hatched on January 5th of 2021. Here we have our second Mars baby of the weekend, and this is the only other offspring from this pair that will be available this weekend. So you can see a lot of color already. This is a clutch mate to the other gecko that we just met. This one hatched on January 4th, 2021. And that's probably going to be a red super stripe. Right now it's looking kind of bacony, some red and some orange, but I do expect the color to turn fully red as this gecko develops. It's got really bright color. This gecko is very jumpy, full disclosure. If you're looking for a calm pet, this is not the one for you. This little super stripe is from our Aquila group number 9. It comes from adults that are both red and orange stripes, so it's very possible that this gecko actually does keep the orange, unlike the other ones that we've looked at today where the color very much will probably turn red. This one will probably actually keep the orange as it grows. This individual hatched very, very, very small. This is a very small baby, and I do expect it to be a small adult because of that. Here we have our first blotched gargoyle gecko for the day. This little blotch is currently orange, but it does come from red adults. It comes from Sweethearts and Atomic Fireball, who are both red blotches. Atomic Fireball having a really deep red base. So I do expect the color on this gecko to change a little bit as it gets older. It might turn fully red. Right now it does look like it has kind of a yellow base with orange blotching. This gecko hatched on January 6th of 2021. And it's got a big old fat belly, so I think it loves its Pangea. Pangea is the majority of what we feed here at the facility, and they also get rapashi and bugs. This here is Agua Dulce. Agua Dulce hatched from our Mercury group on December 19th of 2020. This little gecko is a red aberrant stripe, so it's got really deep red right along the spine. And kind of a yellow base. And this gecko did hatch very, very small. So we held it back to get it a little bit bigger, but it's still a very small gecko. And I do expect this to be a small adult as well. Next up here we have Dicetta. This is an orange aberrant striped gargoyle gecko from our Orion group number 15. So it's got a really, really nice orange color coming in. This one hatched January 22nd of this year, 2021. This gecko has a yellow base, really, really vibrant orange, and it does have a slight kink in its tail, and that will straighten up as this gecko grows. This is Dallas. Dallas is from our Venus group number 14. This gecko hatched February 27th of 2021. Currently this gecko is red and orange super stripe, but I do expect the orange to turn red as this gecko gets older, as both of its parents are red super stripes. This little guy is relatively calm. Good personality. This is another Venus baby. So currently looking red and orange, but also will develop probably to be a fully red gecko as it gets older. This little gecko hatched March 2nd, 2021. Here we now have another Venus baby. This one also has a really nice thick center stripe and a lot more saturation already for its age. This one hatched January 17th, 2021, and it already has so much color. Does come from Venus, so red adults. So you're seeing red and orange right now, but as this gets older, this gecko very well might change. Here we have Huxley, and Huxley is a orange blotched female. She hatched in September of 2020. Alright, let's move on to some of our holdback releases. This is the only skeleton that we have available this weekend, and skeleton refers to the pattern going down the spine. So you got the double red broken stripes on a reticulated gecko here that are going down the backside. It's also got orange blotching everywhere else along the body, but down the spine are those two very prominent red stripes. Here we have another holdback release. This one is from Venus, and it's a bacon super stripe. I was expecting this orange to turn red, but this gecko hatched September 9th of 2020, and it's still very much holding that orange. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with the color on this gecko. No visible pores on this gecko. This is Iola. Iola is another holdback release from our Venus group. Another raise-up that I'm regretting already having brought out here. This red blotch is Lovely. She hatched July 7th of 2020 from our Neptune group. So Her father was Pomegranate, who is a red skeleton. So you're seeing that red really coming in along the center there with her. Rowls is one of 2 males that we have available this weekend, 2 sexed males, I should say. And he hatched October 10th of 2020. Alright, so these last 2 geckos are from a newer pairing, probably actually the newest pairing that we have. So far I've been holding all of the babies back just because they're all coming out like this. So I'm gonna offer 2 of them out today, and if they do not sell this weekend, I will hold them back. They will not be going on the website. They will not be available until they are fully developed and sexed. So if you think this is a gecko that you want to watch grow up and develop its colors, right now is your opportunity to scoop them up. How much coverage there is for this size animal is insane. I expect these geckos to be spectacular as adults. This is Corsicana, unsexed, hatched 1/11/2021. Show you size here on my hand so you can see how small this gecko really is. This is our last gargoyle gecko for today, and this is a clutch mate to Corsicana. Geckos generally lay 2 eggs at a time, and the pair of eggs that our gecko laid hatched these 2 geckos, and this one hatched on January 16th of 2021. So actually 5 days after the other egg. Usually they hatch within 24 hours of each other, but this guy was 5 days behind. They are unsexed. And so these come from our Lithia and Hash Brown pair, new pair for us, and we really have been holding all of their babies back because they've all been really, really nice. So these are the first 2 that we're ever releasing. And Pomegranate would be this gecko's grandfather. This gecko does have like both red and orange in its lineage, but its parents are both red blotched. So I do expect the orange to turn more red as this gecko gets older.
This itty bitty gecko is a hatchling prickly gecko. These geckos are asexual, so a female, once she hits sexual maturity, her body will start to develop and produce eggs. She'll lay those eggs, and those eggs will hatch even though the eggs were never fertilized. And there's a handful of reptiles that can reproduce in this way. And today we're going to meet two species of them. Prickly geckos are from Australia, and they are very, very successful in the wild and found in a whole variety of different ecosystems. Here is a subadult, so they get just a little bit bigger than this, but this is almost full grown. This gecko will probably start to lay eggs in the next 6 months. She won't have to be fertilized. She'll just, once her body is ready and she hits sexual maturity, her body will start to produce those eggs. She will lay them, and you will have little baby geckos hanging out with her. And the really cool thing about prickly geckos, probably my very favorite thing about prickly geckos, is that they can live as a family unit. So check this out. This is a prickly gecko egg, and we normally do not remove these eggs from the enclosure. We found this one while cleaning, and afterwards we actually put it back in the enclosure. We allow the eggs to hatch in the cage with the adults because they do not eat their babies. And for reptiles, this is a big deal. A lot of reptiles do eat their offspring. Mourning geckos, another type of asexual gecko, is another type of gecko that can live communally. We have hatchling mourning geckos from an unknown locale for $20 each this weekend, or 5 for just $95. And as you can see here, this gecko has a regrown tail tip. A lot of our mourning geckos do have regrown tail tips just because they do tend to get aggressive towards each other once there's a lot of babies in the enclosure. We have subadults. This is a subadult. Subadults are $45, and they'll probably start laying eggs in the next 4 to 6 months. And mourning geckos generally lay 2 eggs at a time, and they are gluers, which means that they're going to stick their eggs to things, which can be kind of inconvenient, especially if they glue them to the door of your tank. So this here is another mourning gecko, and this is a Philippine island locale mourning gecko. It's also known as a yellow-bellied mourning gecko because they have a bright yellow belly. See, it's licking its eyeball on the wrong side, of course. But they are like, all other true geckos. They don't have eyelids. That's why they're licking their eyeballs. They've got the sticky toe pads, and then they've got the tail that they can release as a defense mechanism. And they use those little toe pads for climbing up really anything they want. Here we have a subadult Philippine island mourning gecko, and those are $50. All right, we have a special treat for you this weekend. We actually have 2 white tree frogs, and this is a low expression snowflake white tree frog, and this was produced, both of the white tree frogs that we have for you today were produced by a super snowflake and a blue-eyed white tree frog. And white tree frogs are one of the few frogs that's actually kind of tolerant of being handled. They, in the wild, also have a really large range, so are more tolerant than other frogs, and therefore can actually handle being touched a little bit. But like when you handle any amphibian, you always want to make sure that you have very clean hands. You want to make sure that you have no soap, no lotions, nothing on your hands when you handle amphibians because they don't have scales. You can see that the skin is kind of shiny, and that shiny skin is wet and it absorbs everything. So if you pick up a frog and you have dirty hands, if you have hand sanitizer on your hands, the frog can actually absorb that into their body. So it's really important that if you touch amphibians that you have really, really clean hands or even wear gloves. So this is our second white tree frog. You can see the color difference. This is a much darker colored white tree frog.
This is filbert. Filbert is a European legless lizard. Now you may look at filbert and think, isn't that a snake? Well, the short answer is no, but we are going to share with you why the legless lizard is not considered to be a snake and how amazing these unique animals are. One main difference between a snake and a legless lizard is that snakes don't have eyelids. They protect their eyes with see-through membranes, also known as their eye caps. Legless lizards do have eyelids that they can blink. Legless lizards also do have external ears, which snakes do not. You can see those little tiny holes on the side of filbert's head. Those are his ears. Legless lizards also have fleshy tongues, as snakes have forked tongues. The legless lizard is a crepuscular species. This means that they are most active at dusk and before dawn. They love to dig in substrate and moistened moss. They also have very good appetites. In the wild, they eat mostly snails, eggs, and insects. In captivity, they can be fed high-quality canned dog or cat foods, insects like dubia roaches and crickets, button quail eggs, and more. They have sharp cone-shaped teeth that are very useful for crushing arthropod skeletons and snail shells. They eat and digest just like a lizard does, eating a varied diet more often. They need to be fed every 2 to 3 days. Most snakes eat rodents about every 7 to 10 days. The European legless lizard also has a tail that it can drop. They are reluctant to drop their tails, however they can do so if they feel threatened or need to flee from a predator. From here all the way down is a tail that filbert can potentially drop. Just like most lizards, they can regrow this tail. The European legless lizard is also the largest species of over 200 types of legless lizard. At their adult size, they are about 3 to 4.5 feet long and have been known to live up to 50 years in captivity. One question that we commonly get asked about filbert is what is the line on the side of his body? This line is a longitudinal ventrolateral fold in the skin on each side that separates the dorsal and ventral armor. This fold helps with expansion for breathing and eating. When I say that this line separates the dorsal and ventral armor, I mean that it's separating the animal's back scales from its belly scales, so that the belly scales are able to expand when the animal breathes or it eats a meal. You can see filbert's scales expanding here as he breathes. Let's take a closer look at these amazing scales. Just like a snake, the whole skin is covered in overlapping epidermal scales. However, unlike a snake, the scales on their belly are the same size as the scale on their back, whereas snakes have scutes that are a different shape as the rest of their scales to help them protect their bellies when slithering across the tough landscapes. To compare the two, let's take a look at their sheds. This is a fresh shed from filbert. Normally he sheds in patches, but this time he shed in his moist moss box, so we were able to collect a full shed. Here you are able to see that the scales are very small and tight. When an animal has tighter uniform scales like this, it usually means that they are avid diggers or burrowers. You are also able to see that the scales are the same size around the whole body. This is a shed from a juvenile jungle carpet python. Here you can see the difference in size between the belly scales and back scales of a snake. And this is what it looks like compared to the legless lizard shed. Pretty cool, right? Now let's head over to Lick Your Eyeballs to meet Silver and Drexel, a pair of European legless lizards.
Here at our facility, we have 2 European legless lizards. This is Silver and Drexel. They're also known as Sheltopusics. Oh, hello, giving me kisses in my face. They do some major headbutting, which is exactly what you saw there. They throw their entire body at you. I've never been bit, and I've been bit by everything, and I've never been bit by a legless lizard, but I've been headbutted many, many times by legless lizards. So let's take a look at how to sex legless lizards. So we're gonna zoom in here and get a closer look at the legless lizards' faces so you can compare the size of the heads and you'll be able to see the male and the female. I wanted to do a quick zoom in comparison shot of our legless lizards' head sizes. And this is how we sex our legless lizards, is based on the head size. So on this side, on the left, we have the male. This is Drexel, and you can see that his head is significantly larger than this one. And this is Silver. This is our female. But other than a very subtle head size, there's not really another easy way by looking at these individuals to tell the sex. Not all lizards have legs.
Hi, I'm Crystal from Pet Shop Santa Cruz. Some of you may also know me as Crystal French Geckos on Instagram or YouTube. Speaking of geckos, I brought a friend here today to help welcome you to the show. This is Delphine. Delphine is a Leachianus gecko. If you've never seen a Leachie before, you may think that Delphine is big for a gecko. However, she's not yet an adult. She's only about halfway grown. At adult size, the Leachies can get between 8 and 17 inches in length. What's really cool about the Leachie is that they have very similar care to a crested gecko. They just require a little bit bigger space. They can eat the same powdered diet, such as Repashy, and they can also eat insects. In fact, I have some Repashy's grubs and fruit here today to feed Delphine.
Delphine's favorite flavor of Repashy is definitely the grubs and fruit. I found that our Leachies here really like the grubs and fruit formula, along with the Pineapple Express and the Mulberry Madness formulas the best. What you see her eating off of here is actually a paper cup that is opened up. One thing that we do to be more eco-friendly here at our shop is we use, instead of plastic disposable cups, we actually use paper cups. That is one thing that you can do for your geckos who eat Repashy or Pangea, is that you can offer them in paper cups, and that's one way to be more eco-friendly with your animals.
Remember that if you're interested in purchasing an animal, to type "sold" into the chat along with the name or ID number of the animal, and then email us to reserve your spot in line. Now let's go check out some more cool geckos.
We are going to start off today's sales with some crested geckos. This spring we have had an explosion of baby crested geckos hatching, with more on the way, so we will have some very good deals for you today on these amazing animals. The first gecko that we have for you is Mauve. Mauve is a lavender pinstripe crested gecko, hatched on December 16th of 2020 and is unsexed. This gecko is just $45. Avery is a dark broken pinstripe with partial drippy patterning on the sides. Avery is unsexed, hatched on November 21st of 2020 and is also just $45. Along with the drippy patterning, this gecko has some lateral dashing on its sides. Our next crested gecko is Finley. Finley is a probable male, hatched on December 1st of 2020 and is $70. As this gecko gets older, its crest is growing larger and widening. So if you like crested geckos with large crests, Finley is a great choice. I expect Finley to grow a pretty big sized crest as he gets older. Harley is a very dark pinstripe with lateral dashing and kneecaps. This gecko is unsexed, hatched January 7th of 2021, and is $50. Harley is the only baby crested gecko that we have today that is tailless. Alright, next up we have Aspen. Aspen is a brindle Dalmatian with lateral dashing and kneecaps. Aspen's father is an ink blot, so I expect that his Dalmatian spots will get much larger as he grows. Aspen is a probable male, hatched on December 13th of 2020 and is $65. Charlie is a full pinstripe crested gecko. This gecko has sort of an ombre coming from its head down to its tail of an orange to cream, which is unique. I would expect for this gecko to also grow a large crest when it's older. Charlie is a probable male, hatched on November 19th of 2020 and is $45. Indigo is a tri-colored extreme harlequin Dalmatian crested gecko. This gecko gets its name indigo because when it fires down, its darker parts look like they are actually a shade of purple. Indigo is unsexed, hatched on November 17th of 2020, and is $125. Brooks is a probable female, hatched on October 25th of 2020 and is $60. Brooks has a very nice orange base with some phantom pinstriping. She also has Dalmatian spots, however they're not very contrasted and they're a little bit blurred out, which is pretty unique for a Dalmatian crested gecko. Dakota is another one of our extreme harlequin Dalmatian crested geckos. However, unlike our last one, Dakota has a much more solid, saturated base color with that really nice chocolatey brown and a rusty orange color on top. Dakota is unsexed, hatched on December 5th of 2020 and is $125. Dakota also has really nice drippy patterning, which you can see on this side here. Remember that if you are interested in an animal to type into the chat. Animals will go to the first person that types into the chat. Be sure to include the name or ID number of the animal that you would like to purchase. Our next crested gecko is Ash. Ash is another one of our dark broken pinstripe Dalmatians. Ash is a probable male, hatched on October 22nd of 2020 and is $45. Darby is a probable female crested gecko, hatched on October 17th of 2020 and is $125. Darby has drippy patterning on her sides and Dalmatian spots. This gecko also has a really nice contrast between cream and orange. This is going to be our last baby crested gecko of today. Emerson is a brindle crested gecko, but unlike the other brindles we have shown today that have more of a blonde base color, Emerson has an orange base. Emerson is unsexed, hatched on December 24th of 2020 and is $75. We're now going to move on into some of our older geckos. These geckos are some holdback releases or releases from our breeding project. First up we have Hunter. Hunter is a male pinstripe with really nice lateral dashing on the sides. Hunter hatched on January 2nd of 2019 and is $100. Hunter is a holdback of ours and will be ready to breed next year. Aria is another one of our holdback releases. She is a yellow bicolor with both red and black Dalmatian spots. Aria is a female, hatched on August 9th of 2019 and is $100. Delta is my personal favorite holdback release of this year. Delta is a female, hatched on February 17th of 2019 and is $400. Delta is a tri-colored pinstripe with lateral dashing on the sides and kneecaps. Delta will be ready to breed next year. If she does not sell at the show this weekend, she will be held back and placed in our breeding project with our tri-colored pinstripes. Our next holdback release is Archer. Archer is a male, hatched on August 23rd of 2019 and is $145. Archer has both red and black Dalmatian spots, which you can see here. Archer has some normal sized Dalmatian spots with a little bit of ink blotting. I expect that as this gecko grows, his Dalmatian spots will get bigger. Our last holdback release of the day is Honey. Honey is a female, hatched on July 13th of 2019 and is $130. Honey will also be ready to breed next season. She is a phantom pinstripe with a yellow base. This is going to be the last crested gecko that we have available today. This is Dorian. Dorian is a male proven breeder from our breeding project. He is a tiger Dalmatian with a yellow base. Dorian is $150. We are going to move on from our geckos now and into some snakes. Here we have some Kenyan sand boas available. These Kenyan sand boas are possibly het for snow. We have 2 males available. They are $125 each. These sand boas are babies, hatched in August of 2020. If you are interested in a male Kenyan sand boa, their ID number is KSBM2. Remember to type their ID number into the chat. We also have 2 female Kenyan sand boas available. These are also possibly het for snow. If you're interested in a female Kenyan sand boa, their ID number is KSBF9. Remember to type the ID number in the chat. The females are also $125 each. Next we have some HCQ tiger jungle carpet pythons available. We have 1 female available. She is $275. Her ID number is 22002. HCQ stands for High Contrast Queensland, so these are the Queensland tiger jungle carpet pythons. We also have a few male HCQ tiger jungle carpet pythons available. This is our first male. His ID number is JCP-M01. This male tiger carpet python is $225. Our next carpet python is also a male. It is $225. Its ID number is JCP-M04. You can see that this carpet python is starting to lighten up on the sides. These snakes will lighten up with every shed as their dark black will get more contrasted. This is our last tiger jungle carpet python of the day. it is 225, male number JCP M08. This is our greenest looking carpet python at the moment, but like I said earlier, that will lighten up as it ages and as it sheds more. All of these tiger jungle carpet pythons are currently eating frozen thawed hopper mice. They will eat live if preferred. Alright, this is going to be our last available animal for today. This is a female jaguar jungle carpet python. She is 450 and her ID number is JJCPF21. This is a jaguar jungle carpet python, the only jaguar we have available today. Our previous carpet pythons were tiger jungles. Those ones are going to be a little bit more dull. They're going to be higher contrasting black with a little bit of a gray beige base color. This one has more of a yellow base color and will have a lot more space between her black patterning. As it gets older, the scales will stretch out and it won't have as much black covering the back but more on the sides. That is going to be all we have for you today. Remember, if you're interested in an animal, type it into the chat. We hope that everybody's having a great time at Virtual Reptile Expo number 3 so far. That is going to conclude all of the available animals that we have for you this weekend. Remember that all of these animals are available for pickup by appointment, or we can ship them straight to you. If you're interested in purchasing any of these animals, type into the chat and then confirm with us through email. Our email will be on the next screen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
I think it's time for a lunch break. So we are going to head outside and feed our tortoises here. And this is a good time if you're hungry, you need a snack, you need a bathroom break, whatever. Right now it's a good time to run and do whatever you need to do. Or you can sit and watch our tortoises enjoy their salad. We have tortoises that do require a high protein diet, which is why our salad has an egg on top today.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
episode 2 of Plants with Audra. Today we are going to check out my 3 favorite plants for the largest gecko in the world, Rhacodactylus leachionus, also known as lychee geckos. And they are very challenging to put into bioactive enclosures just because they're very big, they are very heavy, and they have very sharp nails. I guess I should introduce Magnolia here. This is Magnolia. She is our shop pup here at Lick Your Eyeballs, also my BFF. Back to lychees. So finding plants for lychees can be pretty challenging because they're very heavy and they have very sharp little tiny nails that just kind of rip through plants. So my favorite plants for lychees are bromeliads. Let's start with bromeliads. Bromeliads have thick leaves. They've got really thick leaves that can support the weight of a lychee and the nails of a lychee. And they provide, some spots for the animals to actually hang out. And bromeliads come in all different shapes and sizes and colors, and some of them have little points along the edges. These are serrated along the edges. This one specifically does. And they all look totally different. Here's another one. This is a smaller one, and it has very, very small serrations on the edge, and it's shooting off a pup. This is how bromeliads reproduce. They produce pups, and they shoot them off the side there. This is one of my favorite bromeliads. This is a ribbon bromeliad, and it has little dark speckles all through the base. And when these arrive and they've been in the box for a couple days, they shrivel up, but once they're watered, they really perk back up and they grow really surprisingly quickly. This one would be a little bit too thin, too wobbly for a lychee. You're definitely going to want to go with a bigger type of bromeliad for the lychee that can support that weight, like this one. I'm obsessed with these. The base is black and then they've got the red tips. And look at all these pups shooting out here. I think this one has like 4 pups shooting off, which is amazing. So I bought a few for myself and I put a couple on the website for this weekend. Really amazing bromeliads. Another type of bromeliad is the air plant, Tillandsias. And I love using Tillandsias in lychee cages because they can handle it. And we have some pretty big tillandsias. This is one of my favorite large tillandsias that we have here. This is a Tillandsia streptophylla, and they start to turn a purple in the center as they get ready to bloom. And you can see they do get pretty large, so can handle a lychee's weight. And they also need kind of the same requirements as a lychee. Assuming you're putting like a white light or a UV light on the lychee enclosure, if you have it with no light and it's dark in there, the tillandsias might not do as well. So this is a new one for us. This is Tillandsia solariana, and they are huge. Check this out. I mean, it's the size of my hand. I saw these and I couldn't resist to get a few. So we have a few of these available right now, and these would work really well in a lychee cage. Tillandsias, like bromeliads, grow by pupping. You know, they reproduce by producing more, and that's what we have here. This is a clump, and started off with one, it's shooting off its little offspring, grows a clump, and these clumps actually work really well in lychee enclosures too, because the lychee kind of just moves over them, and they're actually very surprisingly soft, even though they look pretty pokey. I grow clumps of small tillandsias in my lychee enclosure as well. My third plant on the list is actually my very favorite plant for lychees. This is an aglaonema, and there's a lot of different color variations and leaf sizes of aglaonemas. This has a smaller leaf. There's some that have a much bigger leaf, like these. These have very large leaves. Aglaonemas also come in a variety of colors and patterns and leaf shapes. Aglaonemas are one of the few plants that have been able to survive and actually thrive in my lychee's enclosure. They can handle the lychee's movement. They can, you know, they just pop right back up. It doesn't break their stems. They are very tolerant of all sorts of different light conditions. Aglaonemas can take it pretty dark to bright lights. So it doesn't matter what your lighting is in your enclosure for aglaonemas, because they're so tolerant of different lights and humidities. So that sums up my 3 favorite plants for lychee enclosures. Lychees are really hard to put live plants in. What plants have you found that work well in lychee enclosures? Let me know in the chat.
Isopods are great to add to your animal's terrarium to help with cleaning and maintaining a good environment for them. I'm going to show you how you can make your own isopod cultures at home. For this culture, I'm using a SureFresh professional container with a vented lid. You can use any sort of plastic container for this as long as it's not airtight or it has a little bit of ventilation in it like this one has. The first thing that I'm going to put into the container is a substrate. Depending on the type of isopod you are housing, you may need to use a drier or wetter substrate. For this culture, I'm using a mixture of coconut fiber and peat moss. I'm not going to pack it down, but I am going to spread it out to make an even surface. I like to fill the container up about halfway with substrate. I will also be adding some Reptile chips on top of the substrate layer. I will then add some small pieces of cork wood into the container. The isopods will use the grooves of the cork as hiding areas, and that is where you will often find them. Leaf litter is then added into the container. The isopods will use the leaf litter as a hiding area and a food source. For leaf litter, I am using Ficus benjamina leaves and oak leaves. In addition to the corkwood, I am also going to place around some oak branch twigs on top.
I am now going to add in some slightly damp sphagnum moss. The sphagnum moss will help to keep the humidity up in the container. This is the finished product of the isopod culture. Depending on your local climate and your certain species of isopods temperature requirement, you may need to add an additional heat mat to your container to give your isopods the correct temperature and to give them a nice hot spot. In this culture, I am putting some powder blue isopods. These isopods are great for both tropical and semi-arid environments, which can make them a great choice for a wide range of reptile terrariums. We like to feed our isopods Repashi's Morning Wood Gel formula, as well as Reptanical's Isopod Feast. Together, both of these formulas make great isopod diets for a wide range of isopods. I'm going to sprinkle around a little bit of the Isopod Feast today for the isopods in this culture. Let us know in the chat below what your favorite type of isopod is, and or what types of isopods you have at home. You may also let us know if you have any questions about making your own isopod cultures and how to care for them. We will be responding to you live.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin from Iron Triangle Reptiles, located in beautiful Richmond, California. Here I have a couple of my adult female Oregon red-spotted garter snakes. I'm hoping to have some available in the fall. We'll see how it goes. If you're interested, sign up for my mailing list, irontrianglereptiles.com. This is day 2. Okay, first up for day 2. Male ultramale blood red corn snake. Very good looking animal. Look at that awesome zigzag pattern. So this one hatched December 18th, 2020 and eats thawed out frozen pinky mice. So the ultramale gene was originally borrowed from gray rat snakes. Thus, all ultramale corn snakes are technically hybrids. Small percentage of gray rat snake these days, but it is still there. Next up, This is a terrazzo sun-kissed corn snake. And this dude hatched on December 28th, 2020. So the terrazzo gene, these are generally slender, more slender corn snakes than your average corn. And the sun-kissed gene, it'll give this snake a beautiful orange-red coloration like a sunset as it matures. Oh, another albino Japanese rat snake. Very cool. My adults on these are about 4.5 to 5.5 feet long. This one eats thawed-out frozen mice, no problem at all. Something a little different for your collection. Okay, here we have another ultramel blood red corn snake. This is a clutch mate of the one we showed at the beginning of the day. Really good looking snake. So you can find this one and all the other snakes I'm showing today on my website, irontrianglereptiles.com. You can also sign up for my mailing list to get updated when I have king snakes, corn snakes, rat snakes, house snakes, and garter snakes available later in the year, because everything is breeding and eggs are being laid as we speak. Okay, up next is a creamsicle striped motley corn snake male. And creamsicle is from albino corn snakes bred to albino Emery's rat snakes, giving it that orangey creamsicle coloration. So technically hybrids, but good looking ones. And this one has a really cool boxy squared pattern going down its back. Look at that face. Bloop, 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 bloop. Nice looking snake. Okay, Castani blood red. So Castani will color up as they mature to a dark red chestnutty color, and blood red will make it nearly solid as it matures. Look at that skull on its head. Well, he did not want to show off the skull. Maybe we can see it here. Oh yeah, look at that. So, if you like the Misfits, I Want Your Skull. Skulls is a great song. And this is a great snake. IronTriangleReptiles.com.
Palm trees and running water are probably not what you think of when you think of the desert, but tucked in Southern California's Sonoran Desert is the world's largest California fan palm oasis. This oasis provides habitat for a large variety of different plants and animals, including this tree frog. If we drop below the surface of the water, there's a whole nother world filled with invertebrates and occasionally a reptile. This is a two-striped garter snake. This is an aquatic snake that spends most of its time in the water. Their pattern and their color really help them camouflage into their surroundings to help them stay safe from predators. When they're hungry, they drop below the surface for a meal. They're not eating beetles, they're eating things like tadpoles and frogs, but this is a sunburst diving beetle. Above the water, the king of the palms is the desert spiny lizard. These are sexually dimorphic reptiles, meaning that the males and the females look different. The males are larger and more colorful and very territorial. This is a banded rock lizards. During the breeding season, gravid females develop orange above the eyes, which you can see right here. And looking at another one, you see it's lacking the orange. These lizards are restricted to the Baja California Peninsular ranges, and just a tiny bit of their range extends into California. What do we have here? One of the biggest lizards that lives in the California desert. This is a chuckwalla, and they're found in the Mojave and the Sonoran deserts. They're another rock-dwelling species. They are herbivores, emerging from brumation in the spring to eat flowers and plants, and they do get all of their moisture from their food. Males are very territorial, and females reach sexual maturity at 2 to 3 years, and they don't breed every year. So tucked in this desert is a beautiful oasis filled with life. California is pretty incredible.
So again, we're back and we've given our wall a few days to dry. So now we're going to kind of poke at it and see how well it is held together. So we really kind of used that clay as cement. So I'm just testing everything out. I'm going to knock off all the extra pieces of excavator sand that have dried, and a little top part came off here, but so far everything seems to be pretty sturdy, which is what we were hoping for. We wanted everything to stick. Looks like I lost one rock over here, so I'll just pull that one out. But everything else seems to be pretty well attached here. I'm going to go ahead and plant into here. And because I don't want this palm that's not actually a palm, to sit in wet soil, I'm actually going to put a drainage layer inside of here so that in case this does get a little too much water, the water goes down below where the roots are going to be. I'm going to start with that. What am I going to use as a drainage layer here? I have some clay pellets, expanded clay pellets that I use in all of my bioactive enclosures. So I'm just going to add a small layer here, just a little bit of drainage. I'm not going to put moss or anything on it. I don't want to trap any water. I just want the water to be able to really drain down if it needs to. And I also brought in a succulent mix for this palm. You know, it's easy for the water to kind of go through and not accumulate itself. But we're not going to be spraying this tank so heavily that should really happen. Since this is a drier climate tank, it does get sprayed twice a day, but because we keep the tank so hot, the water doesn't really cool or anything in this cage. It's really going to go through it. So you can see I didn't fill it all the way up. We've got a drainage layer, and this is our succulent mix here. It's got some very healthy roots, and it does have fertilizers in it, so we're going to go ahead and kind of shake out the soil and get rid of this soil. We're not going to use this soil in our enclosure. So I'm going to just go ahead and unroot this. So I am getting rid of all the soil that it came with, because these plants have fertilizers. You can see the little green balls, and I don't want the fertilizer in the tank. So we're really going to clean it all out here, and then I'm going to go hose the roots off, just in case I missed anybody, and give the roots some fresh water real quick. And then we'll go ahead and put this into the ground. So I am going to run outside and just hose this off. I am back with my wet ponytail palm, and I'm not going to set it fully in yet. What I'm going to do is grab my soil, I'm going to put it where I want it, and I'm just going to start to fill the dirt in around so the roots don't get totally squished by the weight of this trunk that it has. Pretty heavy trunk. So I'm just kind of filling in the dirt around it. Oh, we lost a rock. That is probably as deep as I'm going to make the soil, just because I'm a little concerned about this plant having too much dirt and not being able to really get comfy. So I'm going to leave it just like that for now. And this is where our ponytail palm is going to live. Now I'm gonna start to think about the rest of the enclosure. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a base layer of our soil mix that we use for pretty much everything here. And then I'm going to start to add in the cage furniture, stuff for them to climb on. And then we'll kind of tuck the plants in between the cage furniture as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and go grab that soil mix. Now that I have the soil mix, I'm going to go ahead and just add a layer into the bottom of my tank here. I'm not going to put a whole lot in because I'm going to add the plants in and then put soil above the roots like I did with the ponytail bomb. So I'm just going to put enough down so that there is something underneath the plants when I do start to stick them in. And this is actually not looking quite sandy enough for me, so I'm going to go grab just a cup of sand to mix into this. We're going to add in some sand here. Just mix it in. Giving this a little bit more sandy of a substrate, which is definitely what we're going for here. So you can see that our substrate is a lot more sandy now, which is good. And I'm kind of just cleaning it off the walls here, making sure everything is sturdy on the walls. And before I start to put anything else in, I'm going to leave this part pretty shallow. I'm not really going to put plants here, but I am going to add some more rocks in that area to pull together the landscape a little bit more. To add our cage furniture. I'm going to go ahead and start adding our cage furniture in. We have a handful of different types of wood that we use. This is a dried jade plant, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to start with the biggest ones that I for sure want to include, kind of figure out where they're going to fit into here, and then start to add some of the smaller things in around it. But I really am starting off with the biggest pieces, and I want them to be solid. You know, I don't want my gecko to jump on it and it to fall. I want it to be sturdy, so I'm making sure that when I add things in, they're very wedged in there. I actually do have a live jade plant with me today. This is the skeleton of an old one. Plant skeleton. So we might add some live jade in here too today. We'll see how it goes. The other thing I do want to add in here are kind of large pieces of bamboo. These we need for egg laying places. It means day geckos, and a lot of day geckos, the ones that don't glue their eggs to things, lay them in crevices. So bamboo is a good one. The Sansevieria is another good egg laying thing you can put in there. So we'll figure out kind of where this one's going to fit. This is the part that takes me the longest, is figuring out how to place everything. Because I'm also thinking about where am I going to put the heat lamp, right? Because I want to create a good basking spot where the geckos can sit right up underneath the heat lamp and warm their bodies. Also, where are the egg laying places under the heat lamp or on the other side? Let's see what else. I might be able to fit one more. I might have to dig for some smaller pieces. So, see, I'm pushing it around. I'm seeing what's happening because, you know, my geckos aren't that small. They're going to be jumping around, and I want to make sure that if they jump on it, these things are going to come flying down on them. So I'm really figuring out how sturdy things are. It might not be sufficient to hold up this. So I do a little bit of rearranging. That is the reality of building terrariums. It's a lot of rearranging till it fits right, until it looks pretty. You know, and then I'm thinking about what side is the side I'm going to be looking at. You know, what side's facing me, what side's facing, you know, the wall. And I want to make sure that the side that I'm looking at is the pretty side. That's another thing I'm thinking about when I'm setting these up. Also, how easily can I access the eggs? With standing eye, it's not really a big deal because they're one of the few geckos that you can actually leave the eggs in the enclosure with the adults. And the eggs will hatch, and you'll have little baby geckos in with the adults. And they're a big, happy family. Most geckos aren't like that. It's pretty cool that they can do that. So we don't pull the eggs out. We actually let them incubate inside the cage. Alright, I think they have finally found their place. I'm definitely going to go with the giant bamboo. This is also a good one. It's totally hollow and it has a little hole so she can spy. Day geckos are pretty shy. Standing eye are among the more bold day geckos. They're curious, they want to know what's going on, they want to watch, they're paying attention to what you're doing around them. So now that I have most of the structure in here, I'm going to go ahead and start to add the rest of the plants. So those snake plants that we took apart yesterday, those are right here. So we're going to go ahead and pull some of these out and start to add them to the enclosure. So we probably won't be able to fit that many in there. And it's nice because the wood is actually providing support for them, which will help them survive the massive geckos that are also going in here with them. Go ahead and cover up the roots with more of the soil mix, same like before. So just kind of mixing it up, and then I'm throwing it to cover the roots. It's looking very full already, and there are still things I want to add. So I'm going to stop at 3 Sansevieria, I guess 4 if you count the baby Sansevieria. I'm going to add some more plants in. So I've added some pretty big plants in here, and I've got a lot of other little plants that I'm going to add. So I've got a few different types of succulents here. I'm playing with the idea of sticking in, as well as the jade plant, and then some air plants. Air plants are epiphytes. So they're going to be getting the water from me misting down. I don't have to soak the whole environment. So they actually do all right in these hot, arid tanks. That's adorable. We're going to start to add in more of the hardscape. We've got basic plants in that we're going to get onto the ground. So I'm going to start adding some more rocks to really tie the tank together a little bit more. We've got that rock wall in the back, so I'm going to continue the rocks throughout the tank in one way or another, just to tie it all together and make it look pretty. Start to clean the glass a little bit to get rid of the mess that I made with the excavator sand. Literally spraying a paper towel with some water, just wiping down on the glass where the excavator sand came up too high. That's all I'm doing in here is I'm just cleaning where the excavator sand made my glass dirty so that we can see into the tank. Do you need more stretching in your life? Be sure to clean the glass after setting up the enclosure, so you have to stretch awkwardly around every plant. Okay, feeling pretty good about this. I will add one more stick, just for funsies. More climbing structures they have, the better, especially when you have a whole family unit living in there. And then one of my favorite plants for Phelsuma standing eye are actually these air plants, Tillandsia xerographica. The geckos actually like to lay their eggs inside of the plant, which is pretty cool. So smaller, this is the same thing. This is another xerographica, just younger, so smaller. I'm gonna find somewhere to wedge it. You could stick it in with some hot glue to attach it a little better. Other Tillandsias. How cool is this one? So this is it. This is our arid setup for a pair of standing stay geckos. We're gonna go ahead and move this tank to where it's gonna live and add our geckos in so you can see how they run really fast and hide the second you put them in here. Once they've been out in the light, in their heat lamp for a little bit, they'll start to pop back out. They are a really fun species to work with.
Alright, so this is our adult male standing stay gecko. You can see it. So this is our female. You can see her calcium patches. That's what the cheeks are. That's where she stores her calcium. She's lightly moving her tail. She's trying to distract me, the predator, from her head to go for her tail instead, because she can drop her tail as a defense and then run away. But obviously she can't drop her head and run away. So she's moving her tail.
John. Welcome to the East Bay Vivarium, and thanks for joining us at the virtual show. I would like to introduce to you today to some really cool lizards that we don't see very often, at least not so much in the trade. Every bit as cool as the bearded dragon in miniature, or the Pagoda brevis, or Rankin's dragons. We have in my right hand here my female, which is an American gold or American yellow animal, and the European cherry opal line, which is nice. We have some babies of these today that we have produced between these two. I'd like to show them to you in a second here. Everything you need, everything you know about bearded dragons can be applied to these guys, just a smaller lizard.
So these are full-grown adults.
These are full-grown adults. In fact, you're going to see their babies. So here's Rankin's baby number 1. Awesome little 225 animal. You can really see the color coming through from the opal cherry line, the European stuff. Not much of the yellow coming through on this guy, but just gorgeous. You cannot tell you how much I love these guys. So much cooler than bearded dragons in my mind. Just everybody should have them. They're so cool. Number 2, you can see number 2 climbing on my fingers here. You can get an idea of just how small they are. So, you know, growing quick. But again, this is a lizard that is exactly half the size of a bearded dragon. Something you can keep and breed in a 30-gallon tank. Number 3, same kind of thing. All litter mates. We can see a lot of the orange coming through on number 3 here. Number 4, again, you can kind of see just how small they are in my hands. These guys are, believe it or not, already over a month old. So well on the races to doing well. Here we have the albino horned frog, Ceratophrys cranwelli. Really nice, well-started animal. Kind of looking like zebras with different stripes. We've got a couple to show you. Number 1, very nice frog, about the size of a ping pong ball. $30. See a little bit of the green, that's kind of their guts showing through their skin. That will all fade out to yellow at some point. And number 2, looking just like number 1. I don't know, maybe dirtier, maybe prettier, hard to tell. Good looking frog, $30. Ceratophrys cranwelli. Cranita horned frog, Ceratophrys cranwelli crossed with Aurita, the Brazilian horned frog. So these guys will have a bit higher eye horns, a bit narrower and darker snout. They have this really cool tri-stripe theme going on. This guy is a little bit more on the yellow tan side. Little green highlights on their tri-stripe there, looking really, really cool. Again, $30. Cool, really crossed frog. I haven't seen too many of these guys as adults yet, so it's kind of a new thing. Number 2, same frog, different stripes, a little bit higher green. Really nice looking animal. Again, these guys are going to get a little bit higher eye horns, a little bit narrower, darker snout than we see on the cranwellis. And last is the pinnacle of all of these things, the fantasy horned frog, which is a hybrid between the cranwelli and the cornuta, which is the Suriname horned frog, sort of the most wanted horned frog for its pastel colors, its large eye horns and large size, but notorious frog eaters. So the fantasy is we've got the cross, which will eat just about anything we throw at it, makes it easy to keep, and has all the beauty and color of the Brazilian, or excuse me, of the Surinames. And nice gecko. This is a white-collared kahua, $1,000. This is a project that we just don't have a mate to, so something to get you guys going. Really cool young adult. Oddly enough, I could not loop this animal and figure out what sex it is. It looked like a girl to me, but I cannot commit to that because I just could not see the pores, but I'm going blind. This is our mainland kahua, well, at least one of a pair, just to give you an idea of the difference between the babies I'm about to show you and that white collar, which is an insular animal. The mainlands are kind of nice, full of greens and reds, just a gorgeous, gorgeous animal. I like these guys. One of my favorite Rhacodactylus type animals. I know they're not Rhacodactylus anymore, but anyway, this is one of its babies. This is a really nice young animal. They don't hold a lot of color as babies. You're not going to see that coming in until about a year, maybe 6 months if you're feeding the heck out of it. But we really start to see these guys color up right about a year. So this is number 1 here for $3.99. And number 2, same kind of thing. This guy's got kind of a cool little I'm going to call it a triangular dark spot on its head. Who knows whether that'll hold or not. Kind of just interesting and different look to them. $3.99. And gargoyle geckos, number 3, a really nice reticulate with red spots. $2.99, a really good deal, I think, for a beautiful lizard. Comes out of a really nice stock. Color is just starting to come in on this. It's only going to get better from here. They're just awesome lizards. So here's number 2. This is kind of I'm call this a failed stripe. It's somewhere between striped and reticulate animal. Again, really nice color, but the stripe not well defined, but still a really good looking gecko. Something that, might turn into something new. Who knows? $2.99. And number 1, a bit more of a better stripe on this guy, gal, whatever it might be, we don't know. But really kind of a really nice zigzaggy stripe running down dorsolaterally, and a really nice fine stripe running down its back. Crested gecko number 1, a really nice red harlequin, unsexed baby for $75, and unsexed harlequin red number 3. These guys are actually litter mates, so I would probably try and buy a different animal as opposed to this pair if you're looking to pair them up. And we have here a no-tailed gecko, or frog style, or frog phase crested gecko. So as we know, these tails will not grow back. This is a nice yellow animal that has got very, very small amount of Dalmatian spotting on it for $49. It's got a good size to it. It's actually well started, so it'd make a really, really nice pet, or a good breeding project, or something to raise up. Here we have a really nice red, small amount of what we call harlequin running down the back. Again, really nice animal for $49. Definitely something worth applying to a breeding project. Leopard geckos, everybody's favorite. This is a really nice adult male. What's really interesting to me about this is this guy just looks stunning to me because it is completely normal. I love it. It is what leopard gecko is supposed to look like. A leopard covered in spots, yellow, just a gorgeous animal. Not to say that others aren't, but you just don't see the classics much. Here we go. A nice female to kind of give you an idea of where we kind of gone away from that. We're really breeding away from the spots. And we see this animal as we might call a high yellow, or maybe even a hypomelanistic animal in regards to the lack of melanin in its overall spots. Moving on to geckos, we've got pancake tortoise, a really nice young baby, a bit shy, probably not going to give us the best views as it is just, a little baby tortoise afraid of the world. And here we have the winner of the DERP Award, the Australian snake-necked turtle. These guys are really almost unheard of in regards to the trade. We see the Sivan rockeye or the New Guinea snake-neck, but Australian snake-necks are just almost impossible to find. These guys are really, really cool. And you see some underwater pictures here, which is really, really cool, thanks to Audra and her lovely camera. But here you can see him doing what they do best. A little bit of the plesiosaur Nessie thing. Glass frogs. We got some really cool captive bred glass frogs. For those of us who absolutely need to see our frogs' innards, we've got you covered. These guys are really, really cool. They're about the size of a fingernail right now, but they get about the size of our standard tree frogs here at home, about the size of between a quarter and a 50-cent piece. If we look closely, you can see, especially along the sides, the animals are completely clear. And here we go, a little gut shot for you. Awesome. Now, certainly, to my mind, just cool things, big things come in little packages, and this newt is exactly that. Really cool European marbled newt. These guys are quite small, nice captive bred animal, about half grown now. $90, sounds expensive, but they're just unheard of. You just can't get them at all when you want to. So just a really cool animal. Okay, we're going to end this show with this Ambelobe panther coming in here. He's $500. A really nice, calm pet. I would like to thank you for visiting us here at the Bay Vivarium. Remember, you can shop both online or in our store 7 days a week. And come on down, or we'll see you online. Thanks for visiting.
We have made it to the end of day 2 here. Thank you so much for spending your weekend with us. Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and all of the other mothers out there and mothers of lizards and fur things. I want to thank you all for being here. And here I am with Anaya and Turok. Anaya takes care of all the critters here at Lake Your Eyeballs, keeps everybody fed and happy. And, you know, Turok makes all the messes as usual. Just a couple of reminders. If you marked sold on any of the animals, you need to email the vendor. So make sure you do that right now. Email the vendor to reserve the animal. We are going to have a pop-up, in-person pop-up, May 15th, next Saturday from 10 to 3 in Castro Valley. So if you purchased anything this weekend, if you're purchasing things off the website, you can actually pick them up in person at our pop-up next weekend in Castro Valley. If there were animals that you were really excited about, but you're not sure and you want to meet them in person, and you're local, you can come to our pop-up. Make sure you have a list of the animals that you want to meet. These animals are not available anywhere else on the internet other than the virtual expo right now. So if you know what animals you want to meet, you can meet them next weekend. One more thing, coupon code PINEAPPLE gets you 20% off of everything on our website, plants and Pangea, Rapace, all the good stuff, and any of our animals that are listed on the website are also 20% off. I wanted to give a big thank you to a lot of people for helping make this happen. This has definitely been a team effort here. I want to thank Anaya for helping me keep all the animals, going so I can do these weird things like make virtual reptile expos. And then I want a huge thank you to Crystal from Pet Shop Santa Cruz for helping doing a lot of the editing and keeping me on track and keeping everything going and helping with all the videos. Videos were a collaboration between my animals and her animals at her shop. So that was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Big thank you to Natalie for also helping with the videography and the editing. It's been fun, so thank you guys for coming. So now I know what you're all waiting for is the good stuff. We're gonna go ahead and get started with the raffle here. We put Turok away so we have some hands available. Set him down. Let's hop right into the raffle here. Our first prize is going to be for a Morning Gecko 3-pack of plants.
Okay. Adrian Solorio.
You have won the Morning Gecko 3-pack of plants. These are perfect plants for, really any arboreal or all sorts of tropical animals. We got a syngonium, pilea of some sort, and an umbrella plant.
Nice. Congratulations, Adrian.
And you also got a Lick Your Eyeballs cap with that, so you'll get a cap and plants. All right, so our next prize is going to be for our silver vine here, also known as a satin pothos or a silver pothos, but it's actually not a pothos.
Tina Adams.
Yay, congratulations, Tina. You win the satin pothos and a puzzle from Pet Shop Santa Cruz.
Nice.
Our third prize is a terrarium with a pink Fittonia growing in it. And
that's going to Harper Cebulski.
Harper, congratulations. You won a terrarium with a Fittonia. All right, next up we have a Pothos 3-pack. So we have three different types of pothos. We have an Enjoy with all the white, and we have a golden pothos. These are the ones that grow really, really big. And then we have a neon pothos. So you're gonna get all three pothos. They're awesome for all of the animals, and just in general, they're an easy plant. So if you just want a house plant, pothos.
And the winner of the pothos is Matthew Wasserman. Matthew Wasserman.
Matthew, congratulations, you won the pothos. Next up, we have a tiny terrarium. All right, so we have a tiny terrarium here with your very own pet crocodile that you never have to feed or water, and a tillandsia that you actually do have to feed and water.
And the winner of the tiny terrarium is Riley Wood. Riley Wood.
Riley, you also get a cat.
Congrats.
So we did an Instagram vote this week about what plants to give away, and y'all voted for this. This is a ponytail palm, and I see why. I'm pretty obsessed with them myself. These come from southern Mexico, from the state of Veracruz, state of Oaxaca, and they're just a really, really cool plant. Actually, not a palm, but who wins our...
The Carter Bailey.
Carter Bailey. Yay! Congratulations, Carter! You win the palm. Yay! Next prize here is a philodendron birkin, and this is my plants from my personal collection that I've been growing here. It's got 2 plants in it, and you can see it's got really, really white leaves with a lot of variegation. With a lot of plants, including birkins, the more light they get, the more white and the more variegation they're gonna get, which is pretty cool. Who is the winner of our birkin?
The winner of the birkin is Sharon Hu. Sharon Hu.
Congratulations, Sharon. You won our birkin. And this was the most popular plant by far in the Instagram contest. So y'all loved the birkin. I think we are at our grand prize, which is going to be a $100 gift card towards any animal that you want. And if you're not ready for an animal, it can be towards plants. That is totally okay too. That's why we didn't give away a live animal this time. I didn't want anyone to feel like they had to take something that maybe they weren't ready for or comfortable with. So that's why we went the gift certificate route. In addition to the gift certificate, you will also be getting a rattlesnake calathea. So you do get your herp. Just kidding. With the beautiful purple leaves underneath. Super into these. So you'll get this awesome plant and, of course, your Lick Your Eyeballs cap. So who is the winner of our grand prize for this weekend?
The winner is Dino Lynn. Dino Lynn.
Congratulations! You won the calathea and the other stuff.
And the gift certificate.
Yay! So congratulations to all the winners. How do you get your prize? So if you're local, you can come visit us at our pop-up next weekend, Saturday, May 15th. If that doesn't work for you, we can arrange porch pickup or whatever on another day. If you're not local, send us your address and we will ship it to you. Thank you so much again for joining us this weekend. We hope that you have a great rest of the day.